Alright guys, here we are. We're waiting for Usyk and everyone to get here. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. And once we get it cracking, we'll have all the coverage for you here. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. The crowd's getting escorted out, so we're just waiting for the guys to get here. So we're just waiting now. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, Usyk looked good. What do you guys think of Usyk's performance? It was okay. That was pretty good. Do what they're supposed to do. Looks like the Vol's coming up. So here we go.
I'll tell you when. And then after that person, thank you. That's right.
Hello, everyone. I think we're just going to be very informal here. Dimitri, do you want to make any kind of statement, or do we want to take questions?
No, I'm just, I think if anybody has any questions.
Do you want to say anything?
You're
welcome. Okay, well, so we had another performance from a terrific young light heavyweight who is the world champion and continuing to improve every time we watch him fight. He fought a guy who really didn't want to be there tonight, and that always makes it less than as satisfying as we'd like it to be. But he certainly dominated every round, and we're here to take your questions. So, anybody want to ask? Yes.
It was another dominating performance. Out of your last 24 rounds, you probably won 23 of them. But you didn't get the stoppage again, just like Joe Smith. Castillo looked a lot bigger than you. Do you consider going down to 68? Do you think that there's any pressure to get more knockouts? Because you're dominating fights, you're winning every minute of every round, but you're not getting knockouts. And the guys look much bigger than you in there.
Yes, everyone in light heavyweight division bigger than me, but I like this division because there are a lot of good fighters, and I feel comfortable in light heavyweight. What about knockouts? You know, my favorite fighters is Sugar Ray Leonard, Roy Jones Jr., Muhammad Ali. I like to watch their fights, how they move, how they show us their defense. And I like boxing because if you have not enough power, you can win someone. If you have not enough speed, you can use your movement and power. This is boxing, and this is smart sport, and you can win the fight with your brain. What about knockouts? Yeah, of course I wanna go to the ring and in the first round beat my opponent, knock him out. but it's not the best way, I think, for me, because I'm not a puncher like Mike Tyson. I'm a boxer. I use my legs and my brain to get a win. And a lot of people in the world have a can fight with their brain.
Anybody else?
You are pretty dominant in the first round as you are in the 12th round. You have incredible conditioning, and it's clear that you're more of a finesse fighter, boxer. How do you feel about the crowd wanting a knockout? And does that affect you will that affect you in your career?
Для тебя, важно то, что болельщики ждут нокаута, и как-то это на тебя влияет. То есть ты был готов, в принципе, также боксировал в первом, в 12-м раунде, ты был хорошо подготовлен к бою, это было очевидно.
Of course, I want to make good fights for boxing fans. But if I listening the fans, I can lose. I have to listening my coach, who said me, you have to be a patient, don't lose your concentration, and you have to box like you can, and you have to keep your belt to get a big chance for big fight. Who really wanna your belt and who really wanna can make a good fight against you. But because my last fights, I think when I was a challenger, I wanted to be in the TV. I wanted to be the champion. I was aggressive. I wanted to get a belt. But now I'm a champion, and I don't understand why my challengers didn't wanna get my belt. They just spending the time in the ring against me, I think.
Kathy, the fight practically just ended, but from talks that you've had with Dmitry and the team, where could we go from here? Because as he's saying, the challengers really aren't stepping up. So possibly looking towards a unification. Has there been any talks of what could possibly be next?
No, it's too soon for that, and actually, World of Boxing is his lead promoter, and I am here as a partner, so, when they need advice, we offer, but they may be making decisions about the fights as they come. I can tell you from our experience, I had a very similar experience with Sergey Kovalev coming up. Nobody wanted to fight him either. As the pots get bigger and bigger, it gets a lot easier to get people to come in who want to come in and engage. Because I can tell you, there were moments in that fight, I got the feeling if Castillo had wanted to engage the way he was able to in spots, that would have been a barn burner. It would have been an amazing fight. So
Right.
he's got to get to that level where those opponents are coming in who are capable. And it'll happen. It takes patience. He's very good at being so patient. Because he'll get there.
I have a question for Vadim. Vadim, you know Dmitry very well. You see him in sparring, you him in a training camp. How many years he has more to fight those best fighters? Because we all know he wants to fight Peter Bias, we heard Canelo, we heard Gvozdyk, whoever. But how much better he can be? Is he one of those fighters who needs the bigger opposition to fight better?
Most fighters are like that, and when there's going to be an opponent in front of him who wants to take his belt, it's going to be a totally different fight. And if he fights Gvozdyk or Beterbiev or Kovalev or Canelo or whoever, these guys are going to come to try to win the fight. And then that's going to be a totally different story. Like Kathy just said, they're going to engage, and that's going to give Dmitry the opportunities to do what he does.
Did you see this way of fighting even better than he fights right now in the training camp or in sparring from him?
He does what he does in the fight. He does all his life, I believe. He's been doing that since his first professional fight. Some people don't realize that. Some people are like, Dmitry has lost confidence, or Dmitry is not the same, or he's not punching like he used to. No, he's done this since the first sparring in the pros. And for me, as a fan, I love knockouts. But I hate a lot more when my fighters lose. So I don't really care, you know. The fans today, they were not disappointed with Dmitry not knocking them out. A lot of the fans there, they want to see Gvozdyk Bivol, and so do I. And that's going to be a real fight, and that's going to be exciting. But I don't even think Gvozdyk is going to go past Beterbiev. I think he's going to get knocked out in that fight. And that's when the fans are going to be disappointed, because their fighter, you know, it's not going to be a disappointment of their fighter not getting a win by knockout. One of those guys, I think, is going to be on the ground. I mean, it's a 50-50 fight, and it's going to be a real fight. But for me, as Dmitry's manager and part of Dmitry's team, it's more important that he wins every time. I hope he wins as many times as Floyd Mayweather and becomes the biggest fighter in this era. And that's what it's about.
Thank you.
Dmitry, another fighter at light heavy who's having issues finding opponents, another good fighter, Gilberto Ramirez, Zurdo Ramirez. I know he's Top Rank, which is kind of ESPN, you're on the zone, but being that you guys both want a high-profile fight, a big name at light heavyweight, do you think that'd be possible to make sooner than later?
I hope it could be made, and I think it will be a better fight for me. And because he was a champion in super middleweight, and I understand he wanna be the champion again in light heavyweight, and he will try to do everything for victory. And this fight, I think, will be great for boxing fans.
Is that, I mean, I feel like he's probably the biggest name in the division who's not tied up right now. Kovalev has a fight in November. Gvozdyk and Beterbiev are fighting next week. I mean, is there another name that you feel that maybe is above his?
If he wanna fight for my, I just say, if he wanna fight for my belt, I will be glad to give him a chance to fight for my belt. For my next fight in when we can.
February. We asked for him for
why
this
not?
fight. He was in training camp. We asked to fight Ramirez for this fight. He said in an interview he wants to fight Bivol. We asked Eric Boscher, the matchmaker, said we'll fight Gilberto Ramirez this fight. Not as many fighters as you think want to fight whoever. It's actually not true. Castillo didn't have fights for a long time after Marcus Brown with anybody, not because Castillo didn't want it. It's because most people don't want to fight Castillo. Most people don't want to fight Chalemba. One guy, Marcus Brown, wanted to fight Pascal, got knocked out. He had the opportunity to fight Dmitry Bivol for a couple $1 million right there, you know. And a lot of these guys, they don't really want to fight anybody. It just seems like they want to fight anybody. Gilberto Ramirez, we know him really well. You know, he's champion. You know,
I know him. He's a good guy. We know each other. We spar each other, and I respect him like a person. He's a good person. Like a boxer, I respect him. And this guy really deserves a chance to fight for belt and light heavyweight.
When was that sparring, and can you talk to us about what you remember from that?
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Don't talk about
В бою Гвоздик Beterbiev, за кого будете болеть, другими словами, с кем вы хотели встретиться в ринге?
Я буду болеть за красивый бокс, потому что мне нравится работа и Гвоздика в ринге, мне нравятся его мысли в ринге, как он двигается, и в то же время мне знаком Артур Beterbiev, и вроде он мой соотечественник Артур, да, а они оба все-таки мои оппоненты, и поэтому пусть выиграет сильнейший.
Но с кем хотелось бы больше встретиться?
Вы знаете, честно, без разницы, вот нет такого, потому что они оба, вот что Артур, к нему нужно очень серьезно подходить, потому что, вот я чуть не договорил, нормально, что к Артуру нужно прям серьезно подходить, что к Гвоздику просто, они оба сложные. Нет выбора такого, с ним было бы легче или было бы сложнее. He asked me about who I wanna fight against, Gvozdyk or Beterbiev, and who I wanna win. Yeah?
who I want to win.
Who I want to win, and for me it doesn't matter because both of guys is my
Possible opponent.
Possible opponent. Yeah. And I like Gvozdyk style. I like his thinking in the ring, movement, and I like Beterbiev too. And both of guys, it's hard challenge for me. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Person's been here the longest in the arena, I think. Ramos.
I'm ready.
Let's go for it, guys.
First off, congrats.
Thank you.
Just wanted your guys' thoughts on the performance and then the scorecards. There was, I guess you could say, a little kind of all over the place. For just rate your performance. Going back, a lot of hugging going on in the fight. Just
Yeah, there's a lot of hugging, a lot of holding, and I don't think I anticipated that. I anticipated her moving and punching and moving. And in the clinch, we had really decent exchanges last fight in 2018, and I guess I assumed that would be more so what would happen, and she would just be looking for overhand rights and uppercuts from me. And instead, there was a lot of overhand right from her and a lot of holding and the cards. I mean, I'm sure it's very difficult to score a fight like that, so I'm not surprised by the draw by the one judge. But we're happy to come out with the win.
I was hoping we'd be able to finish strong and maybe get a stoppage, but Erica didn't quite cooperate with us. But we had to do what we had to do to get through the win. I'm glad we won. I'm sure Eddie's glad we won.
I thought the referee was terrible.
I agree.
Personally, I mean,
Absolutely.
how you can only take 1 point. I mean, they took a point from Jessica for maybe one shot behind the back of the head because Farias was holding so much. They took 1 point from Farias. How they never took another point? I mean, it was ridiculous. And actually, I have to be honest, it was a close fight because Jessica wasn't able to do anything. But you couldn't possibly give the fight to Farias. Coming to fight like that, the first fight was one of the best women's fights I've seen, and that one was spoiled by someone who actually, after the first 2 rounds, she just wanted to survive. And I thought, it's never nice to criticise referees, but I thought he was really poor. I thought at least another point, maybe even disqualification, because it was so excessive, and he couldn't even realise that every time she was holding on the blind side. Like every time if he was over this side, she had to it was like took 10 seconds every pinch to get her off him. So I thought the referee was poor, and I think really she can't, with a performance like that with all the holding, in my opinion, she doesn't deserve to take the belts. And it had to be an ugly win. So it did have to be an ugly win. It was ugly.
Eddie, the first time you worked with Team McCaskill was December 17, and it was a phenomenal fight, a great show between Jessica and Katie Taylor. That was at 135. Jessica obviously holds 2 belts at 140. Katie's moving up to fight for a belt at 140 here in a few weeks. What obligations does Katie have after that title fight, or could that unification come in a rematch at 140 pounds?
Well, I think there's loads of fights for both of them, basically. But when you look at Katie Taylor, you look at Canelo, and that's like the similarity. So everybody wants to fight Katie Taylor because if you get that scout, you've cracked it. You're the big star in the sport, and obviously it's a huge payday as well. So I think it's not just a case of Jessica looking at Katie Taylor. I think it's a case of Katie looking at Jessica because she's got 2 belts. And if Katie wants to stay at 140, she really has to fight Jessica McCaskill because that would be a 3-belt fight. And there's another belt, the IBF belt, which is supposed to be being competed for soon as well. So I think Katie's going to fight Linard too for the WBO. She may well rematch Pursoon back at the Undisputed at 135, and she wants to fight Amanda Serrano as well. But all the discussions that I've had with her team, Jessica's name always comes up, and I think we'll be back here in February.
For Triple G, right?
Possibly, yeah. We'll see. And you know, I think the only thing I'd say is I think it's very difficult for people like Jessica to fight in Chicago because there's a lot of pressure, not just because of the support, but all the running around. You know, I watch her Instagram and Rick's like just non-stop working, pushing the show. They both do such a great job for the city to promote boxing, you know, in the community. That I just feel something. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know, Jessica will be able to. But I just think it's a big responsibility. Like, you know, I went on Instagram this morning and they were up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what you were doing having breakfast. You know, I was thinking, what are you doing? Who does that? You know, so I think that's something you've got to cope with because obviously she won the belts here and it was great. And I thought it was a great performance by her in Maryland. And we can't really tell if it was a poor performance or not tonight because she wasn't really able to do anything. She had to just gut it out and grind it out. But she does have to improve to beat, you know, Serrano and Taylor and those people. She's capable of doing it because on her day she's tough. She's tougher than anyone. But I do feel like, you know, it's a tough job sometimes boxing in your home city. Jessica, is it? Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I mean, we know the city, the team knows the city, and we've had a number of different things that, yeah, everybody knows us, so then it comes down to people contacting us, can you do this for us? Of course, then we reach out to our network, and we've had runners, you know, about 4 or 5 people from our team running for the entire week, just trying to get tickets and get shorts and get different things done, help out other fighters, everything. And, you know, we're more than willing to oblige just because that's the kind of people that we are. And so it is a lot more difficult to fight in your hometown, whereas when we went to Maryland, we were there a week early, and we did all the press conferences and things that we were obligated to do, but then we also had our own downtime, and we don't have downtime when we're home in Chicago.
Eddie, with that said, I mean, obviously you've took her over to the UK. We've had her here now twice in Maryland. I mean, you speak of the pressure. What do you think maybe would be a good fit, you know, for her to fight next?
Listen, if we're back in Chicago, obviously, that's, you know, she's from Chicago.
Right.
So I'd probably like to see her fight for the IBF belt next. You know, that's a fight coming up between, you probably know better than me, Mary McGee and a lady from Argentina. And I think that would be amazing if Jessica could pick up 3 belts there. And, you know, listen, Taylor's got a tough fight against the Nazi. She's going to be game. So, but if Jessica could win that 3rd belt, then it would set up an undisputed fight with whoever's got it. I think it's an amazing story for Jessica. You know, she flew over really unknown and took on Kate Taylor. Probably give her, outside of Pursuit, gave her the toughest fight of her career, unquestionably. So if she can pick up a 3rd belt, then someone has to fight her. I think it would be an amazing achievement if she could become undisputed champion.
With that, I'm assuming that she picks up the IBF and assuming that Katie comes out victorious in her fight at 140. Jessica would have 3 belts. That would make her the A side versus Katie, is what you're saying? Or?
Yeah, Tommy tells me about Jessica Casca. She's not really bothered what side she's on. She just but you know, she's got to a stage now where we know that this is a very dangerous sport. You know, we've seen that tonight, and the aim for every fight must be to make sure that you're financially secure. You do well from the sport. And I know that Jessica's in it because she loves the sport, and, you know, but ultimately, you know, women now are making big money for these big fights, and she hasn't yet had a big fight, like a big fight. And we want to see her in those big fights. And obviously, if she picks up 3 belts, you know, we talk about A side, B side, well, she will have 3 belts. So, you know, she's got to make sure I want to pay her as much money as possible. You know? It's true. It's true, and you know, it's such a great time to be a woman boxer because, like, 3 or 4 years ago, the money they were earning for title fights was, you know, I mean, and now you've really got chances to have big fights. And you know the great thing about women's boxing as well. Look at how we're talking about. Yeah, we're going to do the 3 belts, then we're going to do the 4 belts. Well, you don't see that in men's boxing. It's so difficult. But you know, we've got Kate Taylor went through the belt. She fought Pursuit for the undisputed. You've got Clarissa Shields is undisputed champion. You've got Cecilia Brackhouse is undisputed champion. So it's really refreshing that actually they're prepared to fight whoever. And you know, the next job for Jessica, I think, is to try and pick up another belt in the division.
Where does Serrano fit into all of this? We saw her a few weeks
She's got a
ago.
contract to fight Katie Taylor, but every time she signs a contract to fight Katie Taylor, she starts saying, well, if the money's right, I'll fight Katie Taylor. It's a bit confusing, really. I know her and Luda Bella are having backwards and forwards, but as far as I'm concerned, that's a really big fight. But Katie's got Lenartu on November 2nd, and then, you've got, I think she'll fight Bassoon or Serrano next, and if Jessica can fight for that other belt in the meantime, that could set something up really big for the summer.
Is Katie obligated to that Pursuit rematch, or is she just trying to solidify?
No, I just think she's the type of person where some people thought Pursuit won, so that's in her head, and that's what I'm saying about the men and the women. Sometimes it's a little bit different, where I'm talking about money and this kind of stuff. They're not as money motivated as us greedy men, but she's more like, there's some doubt whether I won that fight, so I must rematch it. And you don't often get that in the sport.
For Rick and for Jessica, I know it's difficult in a fight like that, but is there anything that you think she could have done better? I know when someone doesn't want to engage at all, it's tough to judge, but what do you think she could have done better?
I mean, I think if we maybe use the jab, create some space, maybe walk her back when she held, put some stress on her body, and maybe she would give up. It didn't look like really Erica didn't want to be there. And that's how I felt. I think she quit after the third round. I just didn't want, she was sneaky. She was trying to steal rounds from us. So to answer your question, probably be more active in the body. The referee was just, it was just like not even there. So there was a lot of issues. We were fighting the referee, we were fighting Erica literally, and maybe not being, keeping distance like we should have. But we got the win, so I'm grateful. So, we're moving on to the next thing. That chapter's done.
Rick, you spoke earlier on wanting to perhaps get the stoppage there towards the end. Just wanted, all of your thoughts. We've seen it in some women's fights, but do you think going to 3-minute rounds could possibly help create more stoppages and more knockouts in women's boxing?
I think it could, but I don't know if it's healthy for women in general. I think we maybe 2-minute, 12 rounds, we start there first, and then maybe look, for 3-minute rounds down the road. But I think if we go to 12 rounds, that would be a good first step.
I think 2 minutes is very entertaining as well. Yeah, very entertaining.
You guys talk about the pressure of fighting in Chicago and the pressure of fighting, but now that you went from being the hunter to being the hunted, what's that pressure like for now being a two-belt champion?
I don't feel any pressure as far as the opponents is concerned. It's just more so my obligations and trying to just work with the promotion companies or the other fighters that are here, and trying to make them feel at home as well. Maybe that's over the top, but that's just, like I said, the kind of people that we are. We open our gym to any of the fighters that come in from out of town.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, but like we take every single interview. We get phone calls from Eddie's people like, hey, who can get this printed, who can get that, and we love to help. Not for us. We have zero interest. It's for Chicago. We want Eddie to come back. We want Usyk to come back. We want the big names to come back. Jesse Vargas, the big names, Triple G, hopefully. But so we want to help. I mean, you seen me in the offices last night.
I just want to say one thing. It's quite a funny story. Is that when we did the public workout, Chaz Witherspoon had a terrible pair of shorts on. So I said, we've got to make him a pair of shorts for the fight, because I don't want him wearing those shorts. So Rick Ramos went out and got him a pair of shorts made. Right? And came in the office this morning, or last night, really proud of himself. Look, it's a Witherspoon across the front, And we didn't realise that Chaz had a different pair of shorts already, and he didn't want to wear them anyway. So, but that just goes to show, there's a classic example where, Rick's around all the time, and obviously he's on the ground here, he's getting a pair of shorts made for a heavyweight who's fighting on the card. And the worst thing is he didn't even wear them. So thank you to Rick Ramos, because like I said, these shows have opened up opportunities for Jessica and some and other fighters in the gym, and without the help from people like Rick and Jessica and helping promote the show, then we wouldn't be able to come here. So Chaz Witherspoon got beat tonight, but he does have an extra pair of shorts.
Eddie, just the Zone USA match, alongside a match from the first show, was here in Chicago in this very arena. Talk to us about the change. I mean, you talk about the help that Team and Casco was able to bring, but last year, maybe half the arena was full, and here near sellout, phenomenal atmosphere. What do you think has changed, and what have you seen that encourages you and motivates you to come back to this beautiful city?
Well, I think it's all about, you know, one thing that I'm learning about the US is obviously we've got different groups of supporters for different fighters. So last time we did well, we had a Polish fighter, you know, and we had a huge Polish community turn up. I think you saw by the flags tonight there were several thousand Ukrainians in the house. Jessica's got her own fan base now in Chicago and Summer, and there's a great fight going on out there, by the way, where they're still going at it. They've sold 700 or 800 tickets between them. So it's all about different communities. I feel like the first show was really good and people wanted to return. Tonight was okay. I mean, a couple of fights didn't really catch fire like we thought it would, but that's boxing. But again, when you come back, you know, if we came back, and don't forget we brought the undisputed cruiserweight champion in tonight. So if we bring Triple G here in February, you're going to see it completely sold out. Especially if he fights a Polish fighter, which is his mandatory. So I just think it's you never guarantee. Like, you can't just come back to Chicago. Like, if we didn't have Usyk tonight, we wouldn't have sold out. So you just got to be clever. We feel like we have a good community here, into like a fight community, who now we've established our brand, that we give good fights, we give value for money, and every time we come back, they'll support us. And I think if we come back in February and you've got Jessica fighting for a third belt, you've got Gennady Golovkin, you know, you've got Sulecki, you've got a couple of other Polish guys, I think we'll sell the whole place out well. There's only about 500 people left out again.
Real quick, any updates on Patrick Day?
He's been taken to hospital, obviously. Lou DiBella promotes both guys, and I've been in touch with Lou DiBella, who I feel like him and the family want to make their own statements, and I think they want a bit of privacy at the time. You know, obviously it's the situation I don't think is great, but I don't have enough information to furnish you with, and I think that'll come from Lou DiBella. But obviously, from us at ringside, seeing him go to the ambulance, you know, it's a horrendous situation, and you know, such a nice man. You know, talking to him in a way I've not really spoken to him before. Met him at a press conference for the first time. Had a really nice conversation with him. Such a lovely guy, and you know, he tried. You know, I think there's probably 30 seconds left in a round or something like that, the final round, and he was still trying to win the fight. You know, and he was miles behind the fight, and he could have easily not tried to win the fight, but he got knocked out trying to win the fight, and it just shows you, you know, what we talked about earlier. This is a very, very dangerous sport, and you know, we hope that he can pull through, and all our thoughts and prayers are with him. So I'm going to leave it to Lou for his fighters and the family to give you the news that I actually in full don't have. I've seen some tweets and stuff like that, but I'm going to speak to Lou finishing the press conference. All right, guys. Well done, Jessica. Yeah, any more questions, guys?
Eddie,
Oleksandr is on his way.
Yeah, he's just doing his VADA test, so it'll be short.
when did it kind of click to that it makes sense to possibly come back to Chicago for Gennady in February?
I just think that Gennady's box now, he's had back-to-back fights at the Garden, and we've seen from the ticket sales for this event that I feel like we have a good reputation and relationship with the fight fans in the city. So, and obviously if he fights his mandatory, which is Seremeta, the Polish fighter, who's 20-0, then it would make sense to come here with such a huge Polish community. So it's not a definite, but it's definitely somewhere, a venue that we're looking at.
Why are you guys looking to go the mandatory route with
Just because we may have to. So
well, it hasn't been called, has it? The IBF has.
Yes, when you win a vacant title, it's very likely that they'll call a mandatory. They haven't yet,
Yeah.
but we're in discussions with them. Again, being a vacant title, we know that Ceramenka's pushing for it. Gennady wants to fight Canelo, but I don't think he's going to wait for a decision from Canelo. So it all depends what happens maybe in the next few weeks. Obviously, the Kovalev fight is only 3 weeks away. So it's not like he can't wait till then, but I don't think he's prepared to wait till December, etc., to have another fight, or wait for a decision to another fight. So if the IBF say that the mandatory is due for a vacant title, which is generally what happens for a vacant belt, then he will jump in and take that fight.
And off topic, I'm from Dallas, so I gotta ask, Maurice Hooker, go to 147, is there any opponent?
He's fighting on December the 13th, which is a card that we'll announce this week.
Okay.
He will be at 147 pounds. I think sometimes, like when a fighter struggles to make weight, they automatically say, I'm moving up. And then after a while they go, oh, maybe I can still make 140. Danny Jacobs is the same.
Yeah.
He's moving up to 160. I'm like, oh, maybe I was like, no, because we've seen you make 160 the last 4 or 5 times. It's brutal. So I think Maurice is a bit like that. He's kind of thinking, oh, maybe, but I believe he should move to 147. He's won a world title at 140. I mean, we especially saw how he had to make weight at Turning Stone for that defence. I mean, he nearly lost his title on the scales. And again, it was tough against Ramirez. He made it a lot better. But I think it's time now for a new challenge. No opponent just yet, but again, that show will be announced this week.
You said that
in LA? Or is that?
We're actually considering some different venues.
Okay.
It's likely it will be on the West Coast.
you said December the 13th. That will be Daniel Jacobs' debut at super middleweight, correct? Speaking of Daniel Jacobs and moving up to super middleweight, do you know perhaps who'll be working his corner for that fight?
No, I mean it's not really something I get involved with. I think that's a question for Danny and Keith and those guys. So, all I'll do is give him his date and tell him who he's fighting.
Now that's a Friday. Did you not want to compete with the other promotional cards? PBC has a card that day.
Well, I think you just answered your own question for you. I mean they've got a PBC card
and
got a top rank card. Golden Boy doing a card that night as well. Now, and there's UFC. So I was like, we'll do the Friday, thank you. So I don't know what the fascination seems to be with always wanting to go on. Like, if there's a show on, don't try and be Billy Big Balls and say, well, I'll go as well. Like, there's no value to that. We are a subscription-based company, and we need to drive viewing figures and subscriptions. So going up against another show that might take some of our audience just doesn't make sense. So we will go December 13th.
I like Friday shows better, so.
Do you?
Well, yeah.
Not in LA though.
No, I mean, I'm still getting terms with how you guys, i.e. the American public, digest Friday and Saturday shows. In England, Saturdays do better, particularly on the gate. And I think that's the same in the US. I think more people are likely to buy a ticket for a Saturday night show than a Friday night show. And we especially have a problem with that when we're on the West Coast. And on a Friday, we have to start the show at 4 p.m. and the main event at 9 p.m. It's very early. So I'm still getting to grips with Friday and Saturday night scheduling and what works. Maybe you guys can educate me. But I think our viewing figures in the UK are always better on a Saturday. I like Sunday, but that's an issue with you guys for your football. So I think Sunday afternoon boxing really works well in the UK, and I've only done it once, and Tony Bellew fought for the world title at Goodison, and it worked really well.
And if I could,
Sorry, so it's been a year. Have you had a chat with the zone about viewing figures and how you?
Yeah, going really well. I mean, look, when we staged this show here last year, obviously we were coming from a standing start. We'd had one show, which was Joshua Povetkin, so we had very few subscribers on this show last year. Obviously, the main thing now, it's difficult for me to comment too much on their behalf, but no one's leaving because the schedule's so good. When you look at Golovkin, Usyk, and then you've got Canelo against Kovalev, is a huge subscription driver, as is KSI against Logan Paul, with a completely different audience. But you could be talking about 1 million subscribers over a 2-week period there. So I believe with Joshua Reeves on December 7th, we're in a really good place. But the pressure is always on with a subscription-based business to keep delivering the schedule. So us and Golden Boy and everybody work really hard to get this schedule in for the end of the year. So we announced that fight season schedule, and then you just about take a breath and they say, what have we got in January and February? So now it's a case of producing again and again, and obviously they want big fights. You know, the schedule's really good, but you need those tentpole moments, those KSIs, those Joshua Reeves, those Canelo against Kovalev, and you've got a lot of those in this new season.
Are you comfortable if they're going to pick up the options after next year?
Yeah, that's already taken care of, so that's not an issue for us. We've got a great relationship. We just signed a new 5-year international TV deal with them as well. So, you know, when we started, people just said they won't last, etc. We know the depth of the business, the strategy of the business, and the vision of the business, and they're just getting started. But it's tough.
On the Logan Paul card, the Devin Haney fight, Hector Tanahara's name has been mentioned.
Yeah.
Is that looking realistic?
We made them an offer and they turned it down. I'm not pop-shotting them saying they should have, you know, he's a young prospect, Tanahara, you know, and so is Devin Haney. And I love the fight, but I don't blame them, because I think Devin Haney's going to beat everybody, and he would certainly beat Hector Tanahara, and therefore, why would Robert Garcia take the fight, you know?
So it was Tanahara, it wasn't Oscar, it was Tanahara.
No, the offer was made to Golden Boy. I think they put it to Tanahara and his team, and the decision was no. You know, it wasn't. At that stage and that level, it's not like it was millions of dollars, and they couldn't turn it down. They've got other options. You know, he's a young Mexican undefeated fighter, but I just felt like it was a good fight for the card.
Eddie, you speak on the, closing fights to close out the year and how you believe it'll drive the subscription. Well, let's talk. You got Canelo, Kovalev, which is a big one that DAZN is dependent on. However, that's competing with one of the biggest UFC fights in the year. And then you have the KSI Logan Paul card, but that's also going to be distributed on YouTube pay-per-view, correct?
No, incorrect.
Okay, because I know there was talks of that.
No, incorrect. Exclusive on DAZN in America.
And in the UK is Sky Sports?
Yeah. It's not on YouTube at all.
Okay.
Was last time. 1.4 million pay-per-view buys last time. 400,000 in the US, 390 in the UK. So, regarding the UFC card, that's obviously not my show.
Right.
I mean, there was some rumours that fight's not taking place though, wasn't there? Or someone pulled out or something. I don't know. That's all I ever done. Still, I really think that actually Canelo Kovalev is an intriguing fight. I think it would do really good numbers. I mean, I saw the Jacobs numbers. I think this is probably a more intriguing fight because of the weight jump.
But does Kovalev have the natural fan base that Jacobs have? I mean, Jacobs is the star in the biggest city in the country.
I think it's the intrigue. I mean, you've got a situation where Kovalev, although the numbers weren't amazing, has boxed on HBO pay-per-view twice against Andre Ward. Most of his career has been on HBO. You know, I think like for like, it's just the intrigue. You know, when those two stand together at the press conferences and away, and makes wow, look at the size difference. It's like that every Canelo fight, isn't it? Rocky Fielding, even Danny Jacobs, and now Kovalev. But there is this huge size difference in a Kovalev fight. Huge size difference.
Since you don't have any interest in that, you want to make a prediction on that fight?
Yeah, I think Canelo will stop him between rounds 6 to 9, and I think it might end up being one similar to Mr. Witherspoon tonight, where it's just on the stall and
Is that just, do you think Kovalev's too old, or do you think this is the body?
No, I think Canelo's a brilliant fighter, and I think he's too fresh. I think it's dangerous because I think that Kovalev will get in peak condition, and I think he'll give it everything, and I think he'll be his last hurrah. But in the yard fight, I don't think he had a full camp. I don't think he was motivated, so I don't think you're going to get that Kovalev. I think you're going to get the best one that's possible at this stage in his career.
Are you confident, Eddie, that after that you can get Triple G Canelo 3 done?
It's really it's up to Canelo. You know, you can skirt around it and say this and that, but ultimately DAZN want Canelo against Triple G. Everybody knows that, and they'll be doing everything they can to make that fight happen. And Golden Boy are under pressure to deliver that fight, but Canelo probably knows that as well. So he's going to fight who he's going to want. He's the A side. But I think when you look at the options, it has to be Andrade, Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, Triple G, and I know that the owner are going to want Triple G, and you know he may look at the Derevenchenko fight and say, okay, you know he may think that that's an easy fight in Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders or Demetrius Andrade, but you're going to get a better Triple G. Again, same kind of thing as Kovalev, you know, different motivation in a fight like that.
Would the Triple G fight be at this venue or at another venue in Chicago?
I'd like to do it here, not the Canelo fight. I'd like to do it. Yeah, I think this is one of the best arenas for viewing boxing. I really do. And we only had about another 1,000 up the back to do, and next time I want to do it.
Eddie, Matchroom on their social medias released like a little preview video of the venue for December 7th in Saudi. Could you talk about that? I know they're saying that ticket details and such are being released, but obviously the venue and what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the computer generated stuff. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's 16,000. It's going to be holding the boxing and then the tennis the week after, as well, the Diriyah Tennis Cup. Tickets go on sale, I believe, Monday. We're not in charge of the tickets. I believe that prices start at around $100. Quite similar to the MSG numbers, to be honest with you, on the gate. I believe they're going to open it up internationally to different markets, the tickets. So there'll be a batch available for UK fans on a certain time frame, etc. Obviously, there's a lot of people coming in from Dubai and the Middle East as well to watch the fight. So they're going to throw absolutely everything at this event. So it's going to be spectacular. Even though Tyson Fury will be there in a couple of weeks. I didn't see him getting any stick about going to Saudi Arabia. No, I said to Kevin Ioli, you know, you wrote 3 articles about this fight in Saudi Arabia and how bad it was, and I just saw you at the WWE press conference yesterday, championing it. So.
On the Doheny, it's always fun to watch him. The fight with Roman probably his best fight this year. Is it realistic? I know Roman wants to do other things, but is that a rematch possible for 2020? And that headline is hard.
Yeah, so Roman has got to fight Akhmadaliev, which is a very, very dangerous fight. It's mandatory with the WBA and IBF. The Henny wants a rematch desperately. I think win or lose against Akhmadaliev, I think that's a rematch that I'd love to see happen. You know, down at those divisions, you really need to be having those spectacular fights to become a household name, and that was a fight, that was fight of the year. So I'd like to see the rematch.
Eddie, Anthony Sims Jr., great out there again. When can we see him back in the zone, and who could he face?
Probably in December. He has to have a big fight now, because otherwise he's going to end up probably going a bit stale. You know, he's an excellent talent, but I feel like he's someone that needs to be pushed and put under pressure. And I like the fights like against Rocky Fielding, against Martin Murray, you know, those kind of fights where we're going to find out a lot about Anthony Sims Jr. A lot of people go through those levels really well. I think he's 20-0 now. You only really find out once you take the bigger steps. And I'm excited to see him take those steps because I think he's got the talent. But it's time to find out.
Can he actually make 168?
He made 168 yesterday, well 168 and a half. He actually come in half a pound over. But he's made 168 for a while now. I was even talking to him about making 160, but he didn't like that conversation. He was at 175, he said he couldn't make 168. He makes it comfortably, although he was half a pound over, but 168 is definitely a division.
Talking about taking steps up, White Chocolate took a step up against Isaiah Selden, the guy we've known, we've seen before. Absolutely blew him out. How fast do you want to move him, and when can we see him again and against a higher level of competition?
I think that it's fascinating watching all our younger fighters develop. Sometimes some people look good and bad. I thought Ofer Jones and Bayer Slanov tonight looked quite average. I was a bit disappointed with their performances. And I thought White Chocolate looked fantastic at the Garden last week. I think he's probably up there with Amo Williams as the one that's sort of catching everybody's eye right now. And they're all good because they're all competing against each other. Diego Pacheco looks really good. Spino looks good. But Nikita's got that little sparkle at the moment, that little following that's generated. So I think he's going to be a really good fighter. He's going to box on the KSI Logan Paul card. And he's getting to a stage now where a lot of these guys, you know, the first 5, 6, 7 fights, it's a nice experience. You know, some are gimme fights, some are a little bit difficult. They're getting paid for the first time. They're watching these checks come in. You know, you see a few cars for the first time on Instagram that they're picking up. But now it starts to get a little bit more serious. 8 rounds. You know, and we're happy to invest in make sure they progress at the right speed. But sooner or later, for these guys, they're about 6 months away from finding out a little bit more about them in terms of what they've got and if they can actually progress to the next stage.
Eddie,
Does White Chocolate look okay when he put on the hook?
You know what? I gave him a bollocking because he weren't fit, in my opinion. He came into the ring, and I know I'm not really one to talk, but he had a belly coming over his shorts, and I gave him what we call in the UK a bollocking. And I said, look at the opportunity these kids have got. Yeah. We're flying them all over the world to learn, to get paid. Like, it's everything, every opportunity is there for them on a plate. All they've got to do is be good enough and work hard. That's it. So the moment someone's not working hard, the moment someone's cheating, don't expect us to work hard for you, and don't expect us to invest the money to give you all these opportunities. So I told him that, and I put him with a strength and conditioner, Scooter, in New York. Shout out to Scooter. Danny Jacobs is conditioning a lot of the guys there, and he has beasted him for 2 months. And he came back in MSG, and he was in, like, the difference in physique and sharpness was on another level. It's very difficult with these kids, you know, they live, all of a sudden they've got money coming in, they've got friends telling them to come out and do this and do that. But the only way you're going to make it is just to be completely narrow-minded and stubborn and boring, and just be completely focused on your boxing. A bit like Devin Haney.
So bringing him down to 154, that's where...
It's a must. It's a must. Easy.
Him, Ammo, and Pacheco all
Yeah.
going to be at 154.
Well, I think Pacheco, he's such a big boy. I mean, he's at 160. I see him at super middleweight, really, at 168. Okay. But they're like, some of these kids are like 19. You know, Ofer Jones is 18.
Yeah.
It's hard to be hard on them. But if you're put up there on live TV and everybody's championing your name, you've got to perform better than that in Ofer Jones' case tonight.
Put him in with Texas guy. Texas guys are tough.
Yeah, no, that's what we want. That's how you learn. But you've got to be better.
Eddie, really quick, kind of little off topic, but what are your thoughts on no context turn? And I've seen you entertain it a little bit, but what are your thoughts on that?
Maybe not everyone in this room knows what you're talking about, but it's funny. It's funny and it's entertaining. It's just like everybody's using it. So I'm walking down the street in the UK and people just, you're that guy from no context turn. It's actually me. It's full.
You do realize that most people don't even know who you are. No, just being serious.
Yeah, no,
like
no, that's good. That's good. It's like KSI Logan Paul.
The account has like over 250,000 followers.
I know. But it's like when I did on Monday we did the KSI Logan Paul press conference. We had 4,000 people turn up to the press conference. They don't even know who I am. They have no idea who I am. It's quite nice actually. Even though they're throwing Vaseline and contraceptions at me and, you know, sort of, well, maybe at Logan Paul.
Question about December 7th. I mean, this is very volatile place to stage the fight. A couple of days ago, U.S. is sending another 1,800, military troops just to, prevent a possible war. Are you even sleeping at night? Because anything can happen any minute there.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're pretty well assured, and I know anything can happen. You know, anything can happen in the UK next week, obviously at different levels.
Yeah.
But we're pretty well assured by the people there, and really we're led by the government, US, UK, who, right now there is no change in the travel status for tourists or people travelling to Saudi Arabia. It's not, the colour hasn't changed, the alerts haven't changed, and in 2 weeks' time, WWE going with the Crown Jewel event with Tyson Fury. So, if there's any problems now, they don't exist because everything's business as usual. We are aware that at any stage, anywhere, and certainly in a region like that is possible, and we'd have to deal with that at the time. But
Do you
right
have a
now,
plan B? Or you're not thinking about it yet?
not really have a plan B, but it wouldn't be difficult to switch it up. to some realms, but that's really not the focus. And it would only be the focus if it was advised by the governments that one shouldn't travel there. But we don't see that as an issue right now.
And you mentioned Chicago for February. Do you think about the bi-weekly event in Chicago? Bi-yearly.
The weekend is bi-annually.
Twice
Two
a
events
year
here, yeah.
to bring.
I was just about to bluff about the bi-weekly event. I'm glad you said that because I was now thinking, what's the bi-weekly event in February? I was going to make something up. But February the 29th is a date that we're looking at here. We have a hold on the arena on February the 29th. So it's difficult to go to a place twice in a year with the schedule, but if there was a place we'd go twice to in a year, it would be Chicago. I mean, it's, we've probably had our two biggest gates in this arena, certainly tonight. Outside of Joshua Ruiz was probably the biggest gate we've had in America. So, yeah, it's a great city, and it's not as expensive for the production. That's what they told me earlier today. They were happy.
When are you coming back to Texas?
It's something we're looking at for December 13, actually. We are in talks with Chavez to fight Danny Jacobs, and that would be a big fight in Texas. So I was a bit disappointed with the gate in Texas, to be honest with you, for a fight of that magnitude.
Yeah.
And I know Mo's not massive in Texas, but I wanted to take it there to give our guy the home advantage. With the result, maybe we should have just gone to Fresno. But we still had about 5,500. I just felt that was a great fight for Texas. But again, we're learning all the time.
Are you learning any new cities in the United States where you want to bring?
Yeah, I mean, there's loads. Even for December 13, there's Tucson. There's other cities in Texas as well.
San Antonio.
Yeah, San Antonio. Even down in Hidalgo there, which we've done events there before. Atlantic City is being talked about. I've had events there before. Mexico's been great for us, obviously another country, but still, it's been amazing crowds. We had 12,000 there for Estrada. We'll be going to Miami in January, which is our first event in Florida, which I'm quite excited about. New York's great, but it can become a little bit saturated unless you've got a big event. I want to go to the Bay Area with Devin Haney. Obviously Vegas is always appealing, so yeah, lots to do.
Speaking of Devin Haney, what about a fight with Lomachenko?
Well, we're mandatory. Devin's mandatory. And Lomachenko wants to fight the winner of Teofimo Lopez against Comi, which is December 14th. But really, realistically, that fight's not going to happen till May. So I'm saying, to Maurizio Sullivan, surely he's not going to wait till May. So can't we just order the fight now? For me, building a young fighter like Devin Haney, fighting Lomachenko next is madness. And I believe he can beat him, I do. But he wants to, I can't get in the way of that. Him and Bill, his father, they want to fight him now. So I see it as huge risk with huge reward, and I do believe he can win the fight. But I would like, he's 20. Imagine where he's going to be at 23, 24. But they want all those fights now. I'd like to see him fight Linares, Luke Campbell, these kind of guys. And then if he gets through those guys, then there's nowhere else to go but Lomachenko.
Eddie, you mentioned Gaio Estrada. What's the latest with him? When can we
He's
see
fighting
him?
Caliafa, our WBA super flyweight champion, in a unification fight, which will either be on December the 13th or in January.
Eddie, because of all the heat you've taken for December 7th from Saudi Arabia, even though you mentioned the hypocrisy, has it discouraged you from going back to Saudi Arabia next year or in the future?
The answer to that is very, very straightforward. And we've seen a young man tonight get injured in the ring. No one has the right to tell a fighter where they can and can't go to fight and to make money. And certainly not me, because it's irrelevant what I think. At the end of the day, my job is to put the opportunities in front of the fighters and their managers and their teams and this was an opportunity too good to turn down. So promoters have been trying for years and years to go to the Middle East, and I was the first one to get it. So I'm going to get all the stick that comes with it. I mean, look, there's a great example. Like, we took so much stick over Saudi Arabia. I haven't seen one negative thing about the WWE or Tyson Fury game. Not one article, not one tweet. Remember when we announced it, we got mullered. So that was always going to happen. Someone does it and then afterwards it's fine. And actually, since we've announced the fight, every promoter in the game and Manny Pacquiao is in, I don't know if he's still there, he's been in Dubai for ages trying to sign a fight. So everyone's trying to do it, and it's a prize fight at the end of the day. So we've got to deliver for the fighters, that's our job. And trust me, the fighters don't mind if it's in Saudi Arabia. You know, they're looking at, they know how risky this sport is, and I knew it was going to be difficult for a UK fight. We wanted a neutral venue, and the money was great, and yeah.
But for you personally, has it discouraged you from?
No, because I'm doing my job. No, because I'm doing my job. Because at the end of the day, I don't care if I get stick. I'm delivering for my fighters, and they're the ones that matter. They're the ones that deserve the opportunities, the big paydays, and it's a prize fight. So if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it, and someone else is going to offer their fighters, and they're going to take it. So it's a no-brainer. Sticks irrelevant. Like it's about the fighters, and sometimes I have to take a few bullets for them along the way.
Eddie, I didn't get in on time, but you may have answered this already, but just wanted to get your thoughts on Usyk's performance tonight.
He'll be in a minute. I thought it was a good performance. I mean, I think he wanted to get rounds. I mean, I think that's a question for him later on. I thought Witherspoon was really good. You know, I mean, bearing in mind he had 5 days notice, and I was a bit concerned. And I watched tape, and I know he can fight, but I'm just hoping that he would do what he did, basically, which is, you know, be aggressive at times, throw shots, trade. He landed a couple of good right hands that I think made Usyk think. And I thought it was a good performance. His movement's excellent. I still think there's going to be not question marks over the power, but how that levels up against elite heavyweights, and also taking shots back. I mean, you know, there's going to be much tougher tests for him ahead than Witherspoon. And to be honest with you, that's his only heavyweight fight he's having before he fights for the world title. That's it. So that, for me, is some of the fascination, because his next fight will be for the WBO world title.
I was going to ask, okay, is he too fast and too skilled for anyone in the heavyweight division?
Yes, but he's undersized. So
the only question is his
chin, power, I don't know, you know, but in terms of the first question, yes. You know, I think he's going to be too clever, too fast, movement's going to be too good, feet are going to be too good. So, now you can ask him, because I've been talking for half an hour, so... Half an hour, you know how difficult that is for me, Alex. So we've got Alex Crescent from K2 Promotions Ukraine, now the heavyweight, but the undisputed cruiserweight champion, manager Igis Klimas, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday, Igis.
Thank you.
So,
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. That was a good present for me.
Exactly.
Happy birthday, yeah.
So over to you guys for questions.
Oleksandr, how would you rate your performance tonight?
Как вы оценили свое выступление?
Ну, мне кажется, успешно. Слава богу, что мы выиграли, все хорошо. Самое главное, что, мне кажется, я выполнял задачу, которую мне говорили в углу.
I think it was a good performance by me, but the most important, I did everything what I was told by my corner.
How would you grade yourself? If you had to give yourself a grade on A, B, C, D, or F, what grade would you give yourself?
Какой бы ты цифру себе поставил?
Я?
That's it.
Я не могу себя оценивать. Это очень нехорошо, если я буду себя оценивать. High people скажем.
I cannot rate myself. I would be very impolite for me to rate myself. So that's to people to decide and to rate it.
Alexander, moving up in the weight class, obviously you're facing a heavyweight the first time. The punches that you received, did you feel any different? Do they have any more impact? And with that being said, heavyweight puncher such as an Andy Reese, a Joshua, or Wilder, would you feel any concern in that now that you're losing weight?
держался с тяжелый вес, и по сравнению может сравнить удары намного сильнее у соперника. И если мы сейчас уже говорим об этих сильнейших ударах, ты сейчас почувствовал уже тяжелый вес. Как ты можешь сказать, вот Джошуа, там, если с ними встречаться?
Да просто не надо пропускать.
I think you need to defend yourself better, not to let punches come into you.
Як вам сьогоднішня підтримка в Чикаго? І скажіть, будь ласка, чи ви думаєте, що наступні бої будуть тут?
Очень.
I can translate Ukrainian and Russian. Я не могу переводить с украинского на русский.
Очень хорошая атмосфера, очень я благодарен людям, которые пришли поддержать меня, которые приехали, которые здесь живут и пришли. Я не знаю, что зависит от того, где будут организовывать мне поединки. То есть, если они будут в Америке, значит, они будут в Америке.
Кого ви бачите наступним суперником?
Это вопрос Эдди. Вопрос ко мне.
Ну, можливо, у вас є якісь свої улюбленці.
Ну, если бы это я выбирал, то я бы, наверное, выбрал тот, кто выиграет. Или Джоша, или Руиз. Пускай они боксируют, а там это их задача, не знаю.
Eddie, what do you say?
The first question was how Oleksandr felt here in the Chicago, and he thanked all the fans, and they said it was very great. He was happy to see it. And the second question she asked it was about who would you like to fight? And he says, it's not a question to me, that question is to Eddie. Whatever he can bring it to me. But if it would be up to me, I probably will pick up the winner of Joshua Ruiz.
You have a preference? Would you rather fight one or the other, Ruiz or Joshua?
Ты боксировал кого-то, у тебя было бы, если у тебя был выбор, ты бы боксировал, у тебя было кто-то важнее, кто бы боксил с кем?
Я думаю, что это Джош.
I think it's Joshua.
Bigger money fighter.
Олександр, це був ваш перший бій у надважкому дивізіоні. Ви не готувалися спеціально до цього суперника. Чи здивували нас в рингу, чи дуже відрізняється все-таки від вашої попередньої ваги у надважкому дивізіоні? Особливо сказали для вас, тому що там не казали, що ви спаргували з важкими суперниками, але чи насправді відрізняється в рингу ці поєдинки?
Наверное, только отличается динамикой, да, здесь чуть-чуть как-то все помедленнее происходит, да, и не так как-то быстро. Удары, понятно, ощущаются, даже когда там в область куда-то плеча попадает, то ощущается, что парень очень много весит. То, что я готовился к другому оппоненту, да, здесь были, то есть тут надо было подстроиться за пару раундов, которые просто за первые 2 раунда подстроиться к этому оппоненту и делать конкретно, вот, что он будет, посмотреть, что он будет делать в ринге и делать под него. Потому что мы вообще делали какую-то другую работу, да, под другого оппонента. Но в этом и заключается слово профессиональный боксер. То есть даже в самый трудный момент нужно уметь перестроиться.
Aegis, please. I don't understand the question. I don't speak Ukrainian, I'm sorry, but I can tell the answer. This is basically the difference between cruiserweight and the heavyweight is a dynamic. So I felt that maybe speed we can call it, but and even if a punch was landing somewhere like in the shoulder or somewhere, you know, I can tell this guy weighs a lot. He has a big weight, and I asked what it was in the end, but I meant what in the end he was saying, and he says Witherspoon is quit.
Usyk, obviously your first fight at heavyweight, you came in about 215 pounds. Do you have like an ideal weight, you know, that you would like to come in at, or is it really based on opponent?
твой первый тяжелый бой в тяжелом весе, ты весил 215 паундов, ты в дальнейшем ты думаешь, ты в каком идеальный вес для тебя бы был боксировать, или это зависит от твоего соперника?
Нет, ну я думаю, что мы еще наберем чуть-чуть веса. Но я думаю, что 100 и чуть-чуть больше будет. То есть это только начало, как бы мы не набирали специально. Не проблема набрать вес. То есть если надо там 105, 110, то это не проблема. Но проблема как бы будет в качестве бокса, в скорости и во всем остальном. Что надо очень грамотно набирать вес.
I think I will add more weight, and we have a time to add more weight. But adding more weight is absolutely no problem. But now the problem will be in the speed adding the weight. So we need to do that properly. We need to do that in timing. We need to do that the right way to add the weight, because that we don't want to lose the boxing skills.
Which is what I wanted to ask you. The speed, the flexibility, the mobility, the dexterity is what makes him special. If you bulk him up too much, do you risk losing that?
Is that a statement or a question?
I mean, do you risk losing what makes him special if you bulk him up too much? I'm asking.
Он спрашивает, что если ты наберешь много веса, то у тебя не будет скорости, и ты потеряешь свои качества.
Если я наберу много веса, то, естественно, надо к нему привыкнуть. Это же математика, подсчет и физика, ну что я буду узрем. Надо грамотно подходить ко всему.
If I will put a lot of weight, of course I'm going to lose my ability, ё-моё.
Question for Oleksandr. Oleksandr, do you have to change as a fighter to be a successful heavyweight and be a champion? Or what you can do, what you're doing as a cruiserweight is enough to be a heavyweight champion?
Ты думаешь, как высокий должен поменяться в тяжелом весе? Или тебе хватит того, то, что ты делал с крузерами?
Как вы думаете, не надо что-то менять?
What do you think? What do you think? Does he need to change anything?
Yes, a little.
What?
Less. No problem, no problem. 10%. Okay, but I mean, less punches, more powerful punches. You don't need to throw, I don't know, 700 punches per fight. I think so. You need to throw 400 of them, but with more power. Because I think so. You're gonna have a problem to just win with the power you had the cruiserweight. Was enough for cruiserweight. I don't think so. It's enough for heavyweights.
Он думает, что тебе надо набрасывать меньше ударов, ты набрасываешь 700, а тебе надо набрасывать 400, и ты как бы теряешь свои возможности, тебе надо набрасывать меньше ударов, но что они были тяжелые удары.
Серьезно?
Yes. Deadly.
Мне кажется, мне надо поработать над точностью попадания, потому что, ну, как бы, мне кажется, я не слабо могу ударить. Вы можете просто набрать пару моих оппонентов по телефону и спросить, как я бью.
I think
so. I know what you said. Okay. No problem. I'm gonna give you a call.
We done?
Okay. Yeah.
What he's saying.
He said, I think I probably need to get more точность, like target, to land my punches more properly. Precisely. Yeah, okay, so I need to land my punches precisely instead of that just to make them heavy punches. And if you have doubts about it, you can call a couple of my opponents and they will tell you, can I hit them or not?
All right.
Я бил много, я буду бить много.
I hit a lot and I'm going to be hitting a lot.
Okay.
Fine.
Usyk, would you prefer having another fight at heavyweight before the Joshua or Ruiz fight? If it were your choice?
Если у тебя был твой выбор, ты думаешь, что ты хотел бы побоксировать еще кого-то до Джошуа Руис, или ты уже как бы сейчас сразу хочешь боксировать?
Да нет, я еще с кем-нибудь побоксирую, почему бы нет? Я реально хочу боксировать, я, соскучился за боксом.
Why not? I miss boxing. I would like to fight.
А чого ви не танцюєте? Після того, як ви
Why not dancing?
Usyk, could you talk about a recent article where you said if you were to fight the likes of at a world champ level, Wilder, Ruiz, Joshua, names like those that you would bring in Ms. Lomachenko back to camp. Could you talk a little bit about that and that thought process to get him back and why he's not working with you right now?
Если ты бы боксировал так Джошуа Руиса и привез обратно Ломаченко старшего, чтобы и можешь поговорить об этом, почему он тебя сейчас не тренирует?
Он меня тренирует, они просто не видят этого. Он всегда с нами, он каждый день с нами в лагере.
He trains me, but you don't see every day he's in my camp.
How frustrated were you with the failed drug test and then the last minute change to Witherspoon?
Как разочарован ты был, что первое понятие у тебя не прошел тест?
Я не был разочарован, я чуть-чуть был огорчен, я сидел в своем номере, смотрел бои своего нового оппонента и анализировал, что мне нужно делать, что мне нужно менять, и все.
I wasn't frustrated, I was a little bit mad, but I was sitting in the room watching my new opponent and studying what I need to change, what I need to do.
Александр, вы говорите, что вы смотрели бои своего нового оппонента, изучали его. Сегодня в ринге он был таким, как вы его изучили, или что-то он изменил? И как вы думаете, если бы исполнили бой досрочно, он бы закончился нокаутом или нет?
Alexander, you said you were watching your opponent, and did he came in the ring the way you imagine he's going to be becoming, and you think if he wouldn't stop after 7 rounds, you think that bout will finish with a knockout?
Очень мало времени было для того, чтобы на самом деле изучить и наработать какие-то новые комбинации, потому что мы уже не тренировались. Мы здесь уже проводили медиа-тренировки и просто набирались сил после тяжелого тренировочного лагеря. То есть у нас было время просто посмотреть, проанализировать и подстроиться уже в ринге, а не там, где, как я посмотрю, мы 3 месяца нарабатываем одно и то же под определенного оппонента, да? Мы специально спарринг-партнеров вызываем. Так произошло, значит, так надо было, ничего страшного тут нету. Если тебе дают такую возможность, надо просто подстроиться, и все, то есть, и все.
Но он был другим или таким же, как вы его видели в ринге?
Да, наверное, таким же, как увидели.
И бой мог закончиться...
Как вы думаете, как я буду переводить вот это все? Вы представляете себе или нет?
Не надо переводить, просто я уточнил.
А как не надо? Вот американские так спрашивают. I just ask him how I'm going I'm just asking, how I'm going to translate all that. Three questions on the round, 3 answers on the round. How can I remember all that? I'm not a genius.
Just the highlights.
The highlights is, did you feel the same opponent as you were seeing it? And
Go home.
Go home.
Well, guys, it is late. We're going to have 2 more questions.
Usyk, any plans from now until Friday? I know you're going to Philadelphia to support Vosdik. Any plans with your family?
Listen, my plans tomorrow and fly Miami, my wife, my friend. After I go Oleksandr Usyk fight in Philadelphia. It's my.
We've been translating for you the whole time.
It took a special guy to get the English out of us.
Last one, guys. It's late. It's late. No, good.
That's it. Good.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. We'll see what we can get for you guys here. Thank you.